If you're building something meaningful in your life and the process feels like a mental or internal fist fight, then you're doing it wrong and there's an issue with the way that you're approaching your creative problem solving process. If you're on the journey of building your most meaningful and impactful life, but the creative aspects of this process feel like an internal fist fight, then I want to let you know you're actually doing something wrong. And the reason I want to bring this up is because so many guys believe that creative work is supposed to be grindy. And this is something that I saw a lot when I was learning how to be, a better writer. There's very much this idea of like, I need to show up and face the pain. I need to sit in the creative discomfort. And it's kind of like they liken it to this process of labor pains where you have to, be in this painful state of labor so that you can give birth to whatever, creative thing you're supposed to do. And I'm not here saying that there's not supposed to be any discomfort in the creative process. Of course, there's going to be, but what I found after producing literally probably thousands of pieces of content at this point, running a business, using a lot of creative work, is that resistance isn't a requirement. Typically, it's actually a signal that something is off. And figuring out how to really take control of your creative process and make it feel good is one of the most beneficial things that you can do in your life. Because regardless of what you're doing, right? Like maybe it's launching a business, designing the next level of your life, solving a personal problem, whatever, it's all going to take creative power. But if that process is off, then it's going to feel brutal. And chances are you're going to avoid it. And when you avoid it, well, then you just pretty much sign up for stagnation or just staying stuck, whatever, right? And so why is this happening and how can we fix it? Well, what I've found is that the core reason why creative work tends to feel really difficult is because you're focused on getting it right. And this is a problem because when you're doing creative work, all right, what's happening? You're sitting down and you're thinking up ideas, right? And as you think up those ideas, if your focus is on getting it right, guess what? You're going to be getting it wrong most of the time, right? Most of the stuff that your brain's going to produce is going to be crap. It's going to be unuseful. It's going to be not the answer. And so if you're in this framework of like, I have to get it right, I need to get this done, then what happens is you're going to get a constant cycle of negative feedback. You're going to come up with an idea. The idea is not going to be up to your standard. And you're going to be like, dang it, I missed another shot. I lost another round. And over time, that actually builds up. And for some people, it builds up very, very quickly. Now, I've learned that you can increase your tolerance for this discomfort just through practice, just like you can increase your tolerance for any sort of discomfort. But, everyone's got a tipping point. And it can get really, really uncomfortable. We talk about writer's block. There's, George R.R. Martin still hasn't finished his frickin' series because I think he's stuck in a cycle kind of like this. It's because, whatever he produces feels not good enough and he gets frustrated and discouraged and all this kind of thing. Maybe I'm making it up on him, but writer's block or creative blocks in general, they're very painful and very uncomfortable because it just feels like you're frickin' failing. And this creates tension and the whole process becomes like a massive slog, one that most of us will just opt right out of. So how do we fix this? Here's the secret that I've found. And I think that this is like, it's so simple, but it makes such a big impact. So instead of trying to get it right and then being constantly aware of everything you're getting wrong, I want you to first get relaxed. Okay. Tension is the enemy here. Take a nice deep breath. All right. Next, I want you to get legitimately playful. Okay. Actually, imagine that you're playing a game. Imagine you're playing a fun game. And this means that you need to kind of detach from the outcome. You're not playing to win. You're playing to play. It's like going to the park and, doing a pickup game of basketball. Yeah, you're still trying to win, but the whole point is I'm here to play. I don't care if I win or lose. I want to enjoy the game. Okay. Now, here's the most critical piece. All right. What I want you to do is focus on what you like in terms of what pops out of your brain in the creative process. Instead of focusing on why it's not good enough or what's wrong, I want you to focus on the things that you like. All right, that's it. And when you focus on the things that you like, I want you to then lean into it. All right, it could just be one little spark, one little sentence, one little fragment of potential. And then just be like, well, what do I like about that? That feels good in this way, or that is part of what I want to do. And what I found is that basically the brain is a massive associative machine. Okay. It's like when you think about things that you like, that'll create a web of other things that you also like. And it'll grow from there, and it'll grow in a way that feels like you're winning. Okay. As long as you can start piecing together and gathering more and more pieces that you like, eventually you're going to be able to find ways that you like in terms of how they connect. And you'll end up ultimately with something, a full-fledged idea or process or plan or whatever that clicks with you. And you're going to do it in a way that feels good. And the simplest way to kind of really understand this is like, imagine you as a kid, playing in the sandbox. You were building something. You weren't constantly thinking, oh, this is wrong, that's wrong, this isn't good enough. You were just thinking, what's cool? What would be cool to do here? What do I like? Oh, I like how if I build it up like this, it's kind of like makes this sweet little turret. And if I put these guys over here, then it's like, yeah, right? So that's all you're doing. Like, the more you can be in this creative sandbox mode of play, the more effective you're going to be in all your creative work. And in fact, it's like this state of non-seriousness is the key to deep, serious creativity. And it's kind of like a paradox, being able to learn how to step into that, especially if you're dealing with high stakes stuff. But I think that's kind of the key to it all. I think that's the key to so much of high performance is, can you have fun while you do it? Can you avoid turning this into a work or a job? And I think when you look at like even just like athletes, for example, the ones who really crush it are the ones who can like lean into the pressure, like the clock's winding down, they're down by a little bit and they need to score. The person they give the ball to, that's the guy who loves the pressure. He leans into it. He's like, oh, this is fun. This is the peak of the game, right? This is where I get to really play at the height of the experience, right? And so that's what we're looking for, is the ability to find the fun, find the things that you like, keep your head focused on that. And if you can do that, then you'll be blown away by how much more effective your brain is at producing useful stuff. Now, there's other reasons why you might be struggling with creativity too, even if you're trying to apply this. And you might have what I would call a power leak. There might be some core aspect of your life or your goals or your desires or whatever that's out of alignment. And when this happens, you're going to keep running into this grinding energy, even if you try to adopt this playful sort of attitude. And this is why I built the Frontline Man Score. It's a quiz that'll show you exactly where you're leaking power or out of alignment and what to do about it. So if you're building something meaningful and you want your creativity to flow instead of fight, then take this quiz. It'll show you how to get back into alignment and finally stay locked in. And all you got to do is click the link in the description, and it'll just take you like 5 minutes, like I said, to get it done. And I would love to hear, in the comments below what you discovered around that. So that's what I have for you guys today. I hope you take the quiz, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Ooh, yeah.